Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch.
Graduation, and I feel so bad that you have to go through this right now. But I mean, I guess like whoever you choose, I want you to do what's best for you.
Even that response is like very telling for me, Jordan.
Yeah, this is interesting. So on the surface, and maybe that's what's happening, it looks like Jordan is the better choice for her. And I think that's what she's interpreting right now, because Jordan's approach to Megan so to catch you up, Jordan comes into the date and he's like, oh yeah, a lot of the guys in the lounge are talking about how they're in love triangles, or that they're with women that are also with someone else. But I'm just so happy that we have each other as our only connection. I said that funny. He said it a lot better than that. But he didn't know that she had another connection. And she was like, oh, I thought you knew. I'm so sorry. But no, I have actually another connection. And he was like, oh. And she starts to cry because of that feeling. I'm just like, oh, it's just, I feel bad for putting other people in this situation. And then he's apologized. He's like, oh my God, no, it's my fault. I should never have. Why did I bring that up? That's horrible of me. And so he's being super cool about it. And then he's like, hey, whatever you do, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want you to be I want you to be in my son's life. I want to travel with you. I want to get married. I want to do all these things. But you figure out what you want to do, and there's no pressure from me, really. So on one hand, that is quite a contrast with Mike's reaction, right? There doesn't seem to be a reactivity, a defensiveness and hostility. I think she received it as hostile that Mike left the date early. I think very early. He even said it was for a test, right? The way that it looked to me was that Mike was struggling with the intensity of it. I don't think he knows that about himself. But on one hand, it looks like Mike doesn't react well to things, or is withholding or rejecting or avoidant or punishing or testing or pressuring or something, and Jordan is not. And of course, you would want someone who wasn't those things. On the other hand, there's a chance that Jordan just isn't as invested. He's saying that he is, so I don't know why I would think that he's not. And the more that especially as he's talking here, it's one of the first times that I've actually thought, oh, maybe Jordan is invested, in terms of the edit. Meaning that I think Mike is very invested, very much wanting to be with her, very much wanting to make it work. Now, you never know once they meet up. But I think it does correlate, at least in my memory, anecdotally, that in the pods, that when people are intensely in love and are feeling the feelings, then that often, in my memory anyway, does assist in the bonding that happens when they meet up in person, which makes sense, right? So I don't know, it's this weird kind of conundrum. Given the edit, if I were to advise her, if I were her friend, I don't know what I would. Now, I guess I would tell her my conceptualization of what might be happening with Mike, and I would say, are you okay with that? Because he seemingly has the ability to be vulnerable, but he does have a pattern of avoidance, seemingly, and of narcissism, at least a little bit, and he does get a little complicated when he feels threatened. Are you okay to work with that? Because, it's workable. It's not the end of the world, and everyone has their issues. So is that going to really annoy you, or is that not? Because, for some people, it could really be bothersome if they've dealt with it in the past. But I could see someone like Megan being like, well, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. I would rather not have someone pursuing me. So if I had some defense to choose, I'd rather choose the opposite. I don't know. For some people. Anyway, so, and then with Jordan, I would say that he doesn't have that reactivity, and maybe he's just super chill, and he's absolutely invested and absolutely just, all in with you and really in love and feeling those feelings, and he's passionate, but we don't really see that. And I hate to say this dichotomy, because it basically, one of the messages I'm saying is like, in order to have a healthy passion, love for someone, you're supposed to be kind of a dick, and that's not what I'm saying.
Very.
Yeah, I'm just like trying not to be a salesperson, like pitch myself. Like I'm definitely not perfect.
Okay. I think body language for Megan, I don't know if you saw that I think really contrasted with Mike. And she could really trust Jordan because Jordan doesn't know who she has another connection with. If he knew it was Mike, you might think, well, he's only saying this because he's trying to differentiate himself from Mike, because Mike is more of a salesperson kind of a guy. But he's just saying this independent of that, and he's like, look, I don't want to get into this game of trying to pressure you or become a salesperson, try to present a certain version of myself for you. I have flaws. So that ability to just be real about it, right? And then she's like, oh, thank you, because I think she's like, that helps actually. Like, yeah, that is what Mike does.
And being with a single parent is probably a lot harder than being with someone who doesn't have a kid. But I just know you would be happy.
Oh, I love you.
Whoa! Oh. Is it getting hot in here?
I think she meant, I love you the way that you would say love in the other way or another way. I don't think she meant, I'm in love with you. I think she's, I love you. You're the best, that kind of thing. I think that's what she meant. I mean, but maybe she was like, well, hey, maybe I do love him.
Maybe.
I love you too, Meg.
Well, I don't think we've seen this, such a clean example of someone being on the fence between two people, and to see that transition so logically, I guess. We've seen many times, that's, I think, one of the main reasons why they have the pod edits in the show, right? That we see this a lot, but it's such because often we're suspicious of the people involved, or it seems obvious they're going to choose one or over the other. But for her, you could see her work. I don't know. For me, I could see her working with Mike. I'm having a hard time seeing her work with Jordan. But, what do I know? What does it matter? And maybe that is kind of the point that she's been making, is like, normally I would go for a Mike, and that doesn't always work out. So maybe I should go for a Jordan. I mean, there is maybe one of the ways she would say is there is a part of me that is really responding to the Jordan vibe that I wouldn't normally respond to, and maybe I need to listen to that more or something like that. Anyway, just a clean example of Mike, and then Jordan, the way he's reacting and how helpful that is for her or unhelpful, I don't know. I guess it all depends on if it works out. If it works out between her and Jordan, that doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked out with Mike. But if it doesn't work out with Jordan, then we would wonder. I would wonder. Because I could see if Mike felt secure, if she did say, yes, I choose you, please propose, they move. I could see him actually, she comes across as a non-volatile, non-chaotic sort of person, therefore not triggering a lot of insecurities. And so I could see him generally feeling secure about the relationship and not being avoidant and not punishing in that way, not resorting to superiority and that sort of thing. And I could even see her not really reacting too much to that, because I don't think she's a pursuer. So if he was hurt and decided to move away, I think she might not even notice, given the way that she is. She's talked about how that's how she was raised, essentially, meaning that there wasn't a lot of closeness. There wasn't. That's my impression anyway. And there was love, but not a lot of like enmeshment anyway. And so there's enmeshment and closeness. I won't get into these anyway. And so I don't know. I guess in a weird way, I'm pulling for her and Mike, but not her and Jordan. But maybe her and Jordan, the Jorgen. I'm going to pull for Jorgen as opposed to Megan. Stacy Kirk, Stirk.
I love you. You said it first. That's all I gotta say.
Well, now I'm wondering if he will accidentally or on purpose go into the lounge and say, "We said we loved each other," and then Mike's going to go, "What? No." And then he just decompensates or ghosts. Is there going to be another ghost?
I love you too.
Wow. What a pendulum swing. Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm engaged.
We're getting married.
I haven't been showing these scenes, but with Brendan, he took the breakup with Annie harder than I thought he would, actually. I mean, I of course can't know from watching the show, but the way that it seemed building up to Annie breaking up with him, that I thought that, it wouldn't be easy for him. But he's taking it a lot harder than I thought he would, which makes sense given what he is saying, given the context. He's reacting the way seemingly that people would react if they just got dumped by the person that they wanted to get married to, So I just want to point that out because I don't think I emphasize that enough, and that isn't fair to Brendan. Then we have Nick and Annie getting engaged, and there was nothing notable during that engagement experience between the two of them. It was pretty standard, and God bless them for having it. Nothing to note. But then the two of them go back to the lounges, and they both are saying, we got engaged. And then Nick comes back in, says it, and then, at least in the edit anyway, they're showing Brendan, and a lot of people are. So it almost looks like Brendan has a lot of support amongst the guys. Maybe. Anyway, so Brendan is sad. Yeah. I'm curious as to why Brendan is still there, but makes sense, I guess, if your friends are there, because the alternative is you go back to the hotel by yourself. So maybe he just wants to be around his friends, or he's curious as to whether or not it truly is over, that kind of thing.
Congrats, brother.
How you doing?
Congrats, bro. That's big, man. Congrats, bro.
Brendan, I'm so sorry, man. I wouldn't have said that. I didn't know you were so good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Nick sits down and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't have said that if I knew you were in the room." But it's an open space. There's no walls. And all the guys are sitting around a table, and Brendan would be the first person you would see from the door. Let's rewind that.
Brendan, I'm so
You know what I mean? So the door is right there, and right in front of the door at the table, the dining table area, Brendan would be the first person that you would see. Now, I haven't been showing these little scenes either, but Nick and Brendan have both been involved with Annie, and in the lounge, as Brendan started to reckon with the reality that Annie might be into someone else, Nick, there was seemingly some callousness from Nick about celebrating his relationship with Annie and flaunting it in front of Brendan, which it could be interpreted. I mean, there's a chance that he was. I don't like to think that about people. I mean, certainly there are people like that, but I don't like just looking at an edited reality TV show and assuming the worst in people, because usually that isn't true. I mean, I guess it's people are innocent until proven guilty in my mind, right? So unless I have a strong reason to believe that someone would be callous, which some people on the show will give me that reason, right? Now, sometimes I'll make a mistake, like with, was her name Madison from a couple seasons ago, or maybe last season when she came back into the pods and she's like, "Oh, breaking up with someone tastes so sweet." And I think I might have even said something like, that's some psychopathic shit right there. But then after rewatching everything, I'm like, oh, it was, so sometimes I go in the opposite direction anyway, meaning that I jump to conclusion of guilt before giving people the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, but I think in terms of the story of the show, one of the storylines is that Nick is a dick. Nick the dick, and he's being a dick to Brendan, and he's acting like he doesn't know. He's just like acting like the way you would in middle school or something of, I'm celebrating, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, that kind of thing. And given Nick's presentation, I think anything is possible because it's so hard to read him, I think. That doesn't mean that he is an enigma or that he is a dick, but I just don't, there's just so many kind of odd things that he says and does. And, in an earlier episode, and I don't know what people are saying online, but I did wonder if he was at the very least bi, maybe gay. I really loathe when people assume that about people. Even if it's true, it's not okay to assume. It's, if you're ever the receiving end of that, it's extremely annoying, especially if you're not, right? If you're hetero and you just have an effeminate nature and everyone's constantly not only just thinking you're gay, but like arguing with you about you being gay, that's just not okay in any direction, okay? So I really don't want to participate in that. But, I guess I'll just add that to the list of thousands of different reasons as to why his behavior is just kind of hard to read. There's also neurodiversity and other kinds of possibilities. But, so we're seeing... I was thinking he wouldn't actually acknowledge Brendan because he wasn't really in the past. So at least he's acknowledging this. So, maybe this will be good.
Sorry, man. I wouldn't have said that. I didn't know you were strong.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
And good for Brendan, right? He's being cool about it. Yeah.
Yo, I hate seeing this from you like this, bro. I can't even, I'm afraid to look at you, because when I see you, I'm going to like, I've been trying to even look at you, bro, because it's hurt me to even look at you. I haven't done this to no, bro. I just hate seeing this.
Okay, Edmund, his demeanor is interesting. On one hand, it's lovely that he cares and he's being vulnerable, and it's very consistent with Edmund's personality that his heart's on his sleeve. He says what's on his mind, and he's being empathetic, like in a big way. And he's saying, it's just so hard. I can't even look at you. It's just so hard, right? I'm so sad. And then he mentions, he didn't even look at you, bro. I think meaning that you're right in his field of vision when he came into the lounge, and he didn't even look at you. Now, some might say he did look at Brendan and said it anyway, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Because it's hurt me to even look at you. I haven't done this to no, bro. I just hate seeing this. I hate seeing you go through this, bro. It just hurts to look at you. All I can do, when I see you, I just want to cry.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Edmund. He has a way which is, I think, healthy, spontaneous. It's refreshing in this way. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Edmund's also a little bit of an enigma to me because of, I don't know, there's just some kind of questions, really for everybody. Anyway, but in this moment anyway, it's very refreshing, the lack of toxic masculinity and really the lack of toxic non-emotionality that most, if not every American has, of learning to suppress. There's so many things we learn to suppress when we're children, like age 7, 8, 9-ish, that kind of time, when we start to learn that we can't be vulnerable, we can't be spontaneous, we can't cry, we can't be happy, we can't be jubilant. Like, I remember a time when I was even in high school. Actually, it was our graduation party. It was an all-nighter, and there was a song, and Depeche Mode came on, and I stood up and I was like, I was like, Depeche Mode, yay. And then this super hipster girl went like, Depeche Mode, yay, like mocked me, even though I wasn't talking to her. I was talking to my friends. And I was just like, yeah, they put on the song, let's go dance. And I'll just never forget that because it was so hurtful, you know. It was like, Jesus Christ, you know. Okay, after that, I guess I had reason to not be jubilant even. You know, we tend to think about suppression of crying and vulnerability and weakness, but we even will tell kids that they can't be happy, that they can't be joyous, that they can't be jubilant, that they can't be excited, or they have to do it in a very verbal way, right? And so Edmund doesn't have that, which is refreshing. Now, there could be a con there. I mean, you know, I guess there's always some sort of con, but there could be a major con, but, you know, I'm not seeing anything yet.
Come on, dude, you just can be happy.
I know, I am happy. Trust me, I am happy. But
It's interesting because in past seasons, usually what happens in this situation is that the Knicks will come in and there will just be guys like strewn about, and then he goes to his little clique or whatever, and they have a whispering conversation, or the Brendans have left, right? So this is the first time where everyone's sitting at a table. So where would Nick go? I mean, if he's legit, which I still don't really know, then of course you would be jubilant. You'd want to talk about it. You know, you'd be a ball of energy. You wouldn't just want to go off into the corner. They don't even have their phones, so what's he going to do? They don't have a TV. So he's just supposed to go in the corner and be like, I'm happy by myself. So he has to sit down. If Nick has a friend, I mean, it kind of looked like Patrick and Nick, because Patrick stood up and went, yeah, you know, nice, bro. I think he might have literally said that. Then maybe it would have been a good idea for Patrick to be, hey, come over here, let's talk. What happened? You know, that kind of.
I respect the fuck out of all you for going on this journey, for real. I feel like a piece of shit. I looked at the table and I didn't see Brent.
Yeah, so I don't know what the audience thinks of Nick. I'm going to take a guess. Usually in situations like this, the audience will identify with the Brendans because you just feel bad for someone, right? And for Nick, for him to do that, come into the, you know, but I don't know. Nick is allowed to be happy, and it's such a weird situation that how would you know the protocol or the ethics? Because you could even argue that it should be on Brendan that he should extract himself so that Nick can be happy, right? And maybe that's what he's doing. He is going to the couch, and, you know, and Brendan's been super cool about it. So there's, you know, nothing wrong with and like I said, there's nothing wrong with Brendan not wanting to go back to the hotel by himself and just stare at the wall. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Nick wanting to be happy. And by the product of the show and the format, it's going to result in Brendan's being hurt, which isn't Nick's fault. Nick fell in love with Annie and asked her to marry him, and she said yes. And, you know, all's fair in the pods in that way, right?
Brendan, that's the only reason I came out here so excited like that. I didn't think he was here.
He went back in there thinking he had a chance.
Oh, interesting. So maybe that Nick thought that Brendan wasn't even there that day, because Edmund's like, no, he came back because he thought he had a chance. He had a date with her. But I don't know. I think that he would have known, right, Nick? Anyway, it doesn't really matter, ultimately, I think.
Nah, bro. Not right now, please. Not right now, please.
Yeah, good on Nick to approach, and I can't imagine I would want Nick to approach me if I were Brendan. Just given Nick's person, if Nick was someone else, maybe I think I'd be like, sure, let's talk. But the way that Nick talks, I can't imagine it being comforting. But even if Nick could have been comforting, which how would I know? I commend Brendan for that. You know, not right now. Instead of lashing out or something like, I just want to be alone. All right, well, let's adjourn there for now. Tune in next time when I continue watching, because I'm intrigued. Are you? And take care of yourself while you're at it, or in between the times that we're together on YouTube, because you deserve it. You really, really do.